Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, 2-year-old filly champion Jaywalk makes her seasonal debut in the Grade 2 Davona Dale. It could be her first step on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. The Davona Dale is one of 9 graded stakes races at Gulfstream on Saturday. You can bet them all with a DRF Bets account, and sign up is easy at bets.drf.com. And when you do sign up, you double your action. You bet 100, you get 100. Let's meet the field of 3-year-old filly hopefuls getting set to go a one-turn mile at Gulfstream, carded as race number 12. Keeneland graduate Jaywalk, in the span of 4 races last year, Matt, went from a 5-furlong maiden winner at Parks to a Breeders' Cup Juvenile filly winner and a deserving champion.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's been visually very impressive in basically all 5 of her starts. Even the career debut, she didn't run poorly. I find it fascinating that this is going to be her 6th lifetime start, and it's going to come at her 6th different racetrack. So clearly, she's not dependent on having just a home surface for her. She can go and bring her race on the road. I think this is a fine starting off point, a one-turn mile. I think she is the controlling speed, drawn nearest the rail. The good news is, if somebody else is just really intent on going, she can sit. She showed that in that stakes race at Delaware 3 starts back. I don't really have much else to add. I think she's way the horse to beat.
She whipped a pair of quality next out winners in the Breeders' Cup. Bellafina, of course, came back to win the Santa Ynez with a 95 Beyer, and followed that up with another graded stakes score. Serengeti Empress came back with a big win at the fairgrounds the other day, and John Service does very well with layoff horses. So if the layoff worries you, maybe this formulator fact allays those fears a bit. Over the past 3 years, with last out winning 3-year-olds on dirt returning from a 2 to 4 month layoff, Service is 33% winners, 75% on the board, and a $4.15 ROI. And if you're worried about the pace scenario, well, let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector. You've got Jaywalk out there on a relatively easy lead. She's the fastest horse in the race by far. She's the classiest horse in the race by far. In the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies, I think she benefited a little bit when Serengeti Empress's jockey made sort of a questionable decision to take back, allowing Jaywalk the early lead. But as you said, she is way the horse to beat in this race, and the others are going to have them nailed on tight.
Well, and the other thing, too, about that juvenile fillies, like you say, I suppose you can look at it one way and say maybe perhaps a tactical error on Serengeti Empress's part as far as the rider is concerned, but at the same time, it's not like Jaywalk was going slow out there. She was setting a fair pace, 46 and change for a half mile, and she just cruised on. It was as if there was nobody else really in the race. I'm a little curious about the juvenile fillies as a whole. I'm here, look, the Breeders' Cup for both of the 2-year-old races, I don't love either of them particularly. The good news, at least with the juvenile fillies, is those 2 fillies that you had made mention. They've at least come back to show that there was some talent in there, where I'm not totally convinced about the boys. Again, I just think there's a real scenario where she just goes right to the front and says, come and catch me.
Perhaps a filly that could put some pressure on Jaywalk early is the number 2, Cookie Dough. Now, Cookie Dough's best Beyer speed figure is 69. That's a far cry from what Jaywalk earned in the Breeders' Cup. But Cookie Dough is in here because she's won her last 2 starts by a combined 14 lengths, and I like the way she beat restricted Florida breds last time out at a mile and a 16th. The problem is, if this pace projector is right, she's pushing Jaywalk early. If somehow she puts Jaywalk away, someone might be coming to get her.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the connections choose to play this. Keep in mind, it's a graded stakes race. Now, she's already a stakes winner a few times over, but you want to get that graded stakes placing. So I think there is a real scenario where Jaywalk goes, Cookie Dough glues herself right to the flank of Jaywalk, and they just basically go around the track and say, you know what, if I can't beat you, I at least want to run second in here. That would be the way that I would be playing this if I were the connections. I just kind of feel like this is a really nice spot for you to potentially get that valuable graded stakes placing.
Cookie Dough did beat a couple of minor next out winners in that last race, and when you see that bullet work out in 58 and change, it makes you think she's at least going to show a little speed in this spot and may not allow Jaywalk to jaywalk on the early lead. Another time is the number 3, and in her dirt debut, she was stakes placed in the Gasparilla at Tampa Bay Downs, but boy, Matt, that race has not come back strong at all.
No, it's been a disaster. Multibella, who came back and she ran at the fairgrounds, she had admittedly a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning, but she only earned a 59. You've had 3 other horses range between mid-40 and mid-50 Beyers. From a numbers standpoint, I suppose you can make the argument that she is at least a fringe contender in here. I happen to think she's better on synthetic than the main track. She's one I just sit back and watch.
The 7 High Regard attracts the services of Javier Castellano as she makes her seasonal debut. Graded stakes place the last time we saw her in the Goldenrod, and that was a race that was wired by Leora, and High Regard tried to come from out of it. She finished ahead of Champagne Anyone, who is also in this field. High Regard slowly creeping forward from a buyer's standpoint. I think the connections are hoping for a little bit of pace up front.
Yeah, it would certainly help her cause. You note that 2 times she's gone a 1-turn mile, and she ran respectively in both of them. I just, it's kind of one of those things. I look at it and say, I don't know how much better she got as a 2-year-old. You bring up those buyers, they are slowly creeping forward. I think she's going to need a significant step forward to hit the board. Champagne
Anyone has won at a 2-turn mile in the past at Keeneland. Something tells me she is a late-running 1-turn type, as evidenced by her good performance in the Grade 3 Forward Gal last time out against a highly regarded Chad Brown returnee, and the maiden win at Ellis Park going 7 furlongs. The concern for anyone that's backing Champagne Anyone is, like High Regard, she is going to be loping near the back of the pack and hoping that someone takes the starch out of Jaywalk. I think she's going to be okay down the road in races that have pace.
And I think, too, this is an instance where I think there's a chance that she's the second choice in here just based on that most recent run. You see Feedback's name in there. Another interesting case of comparing the speed figures. 96 raw number for time form, 84 for buyer. You decide which one you believe in more.
Jeltrin, the number 4, easily outran her 124-to-1 odds last time out in the Grade 3 Forward Gal, but she still finished behind Champagne Anyone that day. It would be a nice story, a reformed maiden claimer to get a graded stakes placing and really make her worth her weight in gold as a broodmare, but she is going to have to continue to improve.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I suppose if she takes another step forward here, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but she is going to need to take that step forward.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 2 Davona Dale Stakes. I don't want to have too much money in against Jaywalk, but I do want to talk about the 6 Bold Script a little bit, because this filly showed some ability on turf and synthetic at Woodbine last year. She was 3rd in the Grade 1 Natalma, and in her most recent start, her main track debut over the Tapeta surface, she just destroyed a field in the Princess Elizabeth Stakes to the tune of an 83 buyer speed figure. Now you see the Speightstown on top and you're thinking, great, no reason why she can't handle dirt. You look at the bottom of the pedigree, you get a little bit nervous. The Dam was a stakes winner on synthetic. She was beaten 40 lengths in her only start on dirt at Gulfstream. Maybe she bled that day, her next race, first start with Lasix. Her Dam's a full sister to a stakes winner on turf who was beaten double digits in both starts on dirt, but those were the first 2 starts of that horse's career sprinting. Maybe that horse hadn't found himself just yet. Bold Script, again, obviously a bit of a long shot. I do like the fact that we see several bullet workouts on dirt at Palm Meadows leading up to this race. Jose Ortiz takes them out 12-to-1 on the morning line. This horse has shown quality on turf and synthetic. If the horse was 2-to-1, I would not touch her with a 10-foot pole on dirt, but she'll offer some value.
I think if you want, I'm not going to talk anybody off of trying to use this horse underneath.
That's code in racing. Terrible opinion.
I think more importantly, as an Ontario bred and what she did in that first start on synthetic, if Saturday is not the day, she's still one to keep an eye on. And I do wonder if that's part of the reason Jose is there, because this could easily end up being a Woodbine Oaks filly here in a few months. Bold Script, again, I'm not going to talk anybody off using a horse underneath a 1-to-9 shot. I do wonder if we may be seeing bigger and better things down the road.
6-1-5-4 for me in multiple race wagers. Jaywalk the only A, Bold Script merely a backup. Jaywalk is your pick. I'm assuming you're singling.
Yeah, single there, and for me, it's a 2-speed number. It's 1-2. I think they're just going to go around the racetrack, kind of a merry-go-round, and this is just nothing more than a means to an end, a starting off point.
Jaywalk, the 2018 Juvenile Filly champion, makes her seasonal debut in the Davona Dale. It's one of 9 graded races at Gulfstream on Saturday. Bet them all with a DRF Bets account. When you sign up, you double your action. You bet 100, you get 100 at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for Jaywalk's effort in the Grade 2 Davona Dale, 5:01 Eastern on Saturday. Best of luck.